Lansing, Michigan, the former doctor for the American gymnastics team, Dr. Lawrence G. Nassar, was sentenced to 40 to 175 years in prison on Wednesday for multiple sex crimes, capping an extraordinary 7-day hearing that drew more than 150 young women to publicly confront him and speak of their abuse. Judge Rosemarie Aquilina, who had opened her courtroom to the young women, including several prominent Olympic athletes, bluntly made clear that Dr. Nassar, 54, was likely to die in prison. "I just signed your death warrant," she said as she imposed the sentence. Given an opportunity to address the court before sentencing, Drive. Nassar apologized to the young women and, occasionally turning to them in the courtroom, said, "Your words these past several days have had a significant effect on myself and have shaken me to my core. I will carry your words with me for the rest of my days." Several women groaned when he faced them and sobbed as he spoke. Just before sentencing Drive. Nassar, the judge read parts of a letter he submitted to the court last week that contrasted with his stated contrition. In the letter, he complained about his treatment in a separate federal child pornography case and wrote that his accusers in this case were seeking news media attention and money. "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," he wrote in the letter, eliciting audible gasps from the spectators when the judge read the line. Judge Aquilina, who had emerged as a fierce advocate for the women, finished reading the excerpts and directed her ire at him. "This letter tells me you have not yet owned what you did," she said. "You still think somehow you are right, you're a doctor, that you're entitled, so you don't have to listen. That you did treatment, I wouldn't send my dogs to you, sir, doctor." Nassar, 54, was accused of molesting girls for years under the guise of giving them examinations or medical treatment. Some were as young as 6. Many of them were Olympic gymnasts. In November, he pleaded guilty to sexually abusing 7 girls. He had already been sentenced to 60 years in federal prison for child pornography convictions. The case and its ramifications are far from over. It has ignited outrage in the sports world and beyond, leading to the resignation this week of the chairman and several board members of the governing body for gymnastics in the United States, USA. Gymnastics. Last week, the organization cut ties with the private training center at a remote Texas ranch where some of the abuse occurred. And at Michigan State, where Drive. Nassar spent years on the faculty and treated many of its athletes. An outpouring of political pressure led to the resignation of the university's president, Luana K. Simon. Late Wednesday, Judge Rosemarie Aquilina read a portion of a letter written by Dr. Nassar. Brendan McDermott, Reuters. Ms. Simon's resignation may have just been the beginning at Michigan State, as the NCAA on Tuesday formally opened an investigation into the university's conduct. The United States Olympic Committee, which some of the young women condemned for not doing enough to protect them when they joined the team and had to continue to see Drive. Nassar said on Wednesday it was now taking action. Moments after the judge delivered her sentence, the Olympic Committee issued a statement calling on the entire USA Gymnastics Board to resign and promising additional steps to investigate Drive. Nassar's conduct and ensure athletes are not harmed in the future. The Olympic Committee's chief executive, Scott Blackman, also apologized for not attending the hearing, after gymnasts pointedly condemned the USOC for lack of support. A number of civil lawsuits have also been filed. The sentencing hearing itself, streamed live on the internet, captured national attention for extending several days to allow for victim impact statements from girls and women who said they were molested by Dr. Nassar over the years. Many of the victims had not previously identified themselves. Initial plans to conclude after 4 days were altered as more women came forward. Among those who have accused him are the Olympic gold medalists Aly Raisman, Michaela Maroney, Gabby Douglas, Jordan Weber and Simone Biles. The final 3 victims spoke on Wednesday. Rachel Denhollander, who was one of the first women to come forward with public accusations against Drive. Nassar was the last to speak at his sentencing hearing. "Larry is the most dangerous type of abuser," she said. "One who is capable of manipulating his victims through coldly calculated grooming methodologies, presenting the most wholesome and caring external persona as a deliberate means to ensure a steady stream of young children to assault." Judge Aquilina praised Ms. Denhollander for opening the floodgates. "You are the bravest person I have ever had in my courtroom," she said. The sentence carries a minimum 40 years imprisonment, adhering to the terms of the plea agreement, but the judge advised that should Drive Nassar improbably live longer than any human has, and come up for parole after serving the federal and state sentences, his time in state prison should extend to 175 years. Nassar also pleaded guilty in November on 3 sexual abuse counts in a neighboring county. That sentencing is later this month. The statements by the young women in the past week were forceful and at times anguished. "Imagine feeling like you have no power and no voice," Ms. Baseman said in court last Friday. "Well, you know what, Larry. I have both power and voice, and I am only just beginning to use them. All these brave women have power, and we will use our voices to make sure you get what you deserve." A life of suffering spent replaying the words delivered by this powerful army of survivors. As part of a lawsuit settlement, Ms. Maroney had signed a non-disclosure agreement with USA Gymnastics that would have caused her to be fined more than $100,000 for speaking about the abuse. After several celebrities offered to pay the fine, the organization said it would not fine her. Dr. Nassar was not a doctor, she said. He in fact was, and forever shall be, a child molester, and a monster of a human being. In the end, though, Judge Aquilina had the final words. "Your decision to assault was precise, calculated, manipulative, devious, despicable," she told Drive. Nassar in part. "I don't have to add words because your survivors have said all of that, and I don't want to repeat it. You can't give them back their innocence, their youth." Carla Correa contributed reporting. A version of this article appears in print on January 25, 2018, on page A1 of the New York edition with the headline, "Gymnast's Abuse Draws Sentence Likely to be Life."